Okay, so hopefully you know by now that not all of our boxes and things like that that we have nice whole numbers as their measurements. So I did give you one that had fractions in it. It had a measure of 2 feet by 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet. So when I went ahead and labeled my length, width, height, I converted my 1.5 feet to a decimal of 1.5 just to make it easier for myself when I was going through everything here. So I'm going to start with the same formula for surface area of 2 times length times width. Whoa, going all over the place here. Plus 2 times width times height plus 2 times length times height. Now when I go ahead and I substitute into my formula, I'm going to use the decimal version of 1.5, which is 1.5, just to make it a little bit easier on myself. So I've got 2 times 1.5 times 2 plus 2 times 2 times 1.5, going to give me the same result, times 2 times 1.5 times 1.5. Be careful where you're placing your decimal and your multiplication sign, they can look alike there. So when I go ahead and multiply here, I've got 2, and I want to do 1.5 times 2. I'm going to do it over here. There's a little bit of side math. I don't know if you can see it. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. And I've got that one decimal place to take care of. So I end up with 3.0. So I've got 2 times 3 plus, here's a nice thing, 1.5 times 2 is the same thing as 2 times 1.5 because of that commutative property. So I've got 2 times 3 again. And now I have 1.5 times 1.5. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. I've got a 7. And then down here, I'm going to put a 0. 1 times 5 is 5. And 1 times 1 is 1. So I end up with 225, but I have to take into account that I'm counting over 2 decimal places. So I end up with 2.25. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do 2 times 3, which is 6, plus 2 times 3, which is 6, plus 2 times 2.25. I'm going to do it over here. So I've got 2.25 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. And 2 times 2 is 4. I've got 2 decimal places to take care of. So I've got 4.5. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add. Well, I know that 6 plus 6 equals 12. And then 12 plus 4.5 gives me 16.5 feet squared as my answer. So don't let that, there being a fraction in your problem throw you. If you have a calculator handy, it's very easy to go fraction to decimal on the calculator to figure it out. So 16.5 feet squared is your surface area there for image number 4.